Aloha, it's CreativeNameToStandOut again with another battle report. This time I'm bringing you a 2,000 point game between my Dark Elves and an opponent's Chaos Demons army. Now in this game we're going to be borrowing a couple of the rules from the new Godkin book. One, we're going to have an Ascendant God, which is Slaanesh. That means all Slaanesh units lose the Unstable rule and instead just get Unbreakable. The Tzeentch units still are unstable, so that's just something to keep in mind. We're also going to be using the new Summon Infernal Legion spell. That's going to mean that he gets to summon more Slaanesh units at a certain points level if whatever level he decides to cast it at. And then finally we're also going to use the new Reign of Chaos table from the Godkin book, not from the Chaos Demons army book. So with that, let's look at deployment. Oh, one other comment here. When we first got to the game store, there wasn't any room for us to play, but the two groups of 40k players here at this table had a little bit of a spot in between them, and they were nice enough to share their table space with us. So we're going to be bleeding in a little bit to the table space here with the Necron player, but besides deployment, we don't actually have any issues here because the Necron player starts moving towards the center of the table, and we don't go as far as that hill. So it's really kind of them. So we're going to be playing, on a table that's less than 6x4, but a little bit more than a 4x4. So a little different, but it was really nice of them to make some room for us. Speaking of 40k too, I was looking into the other room, and I get so jealous with 40k players because they always play on beautiful tables. Well, ours are sufficient, but just not as spectacular as that one. So anyways, let's go into the real deployment. Alright, so starting on the left flank next to those Necrons, we have a Hellflayer and then 6 Seekers of Slaanesh. On the hill we have 3 of the Screamers, and then behind them are really hard to see, but they're 3 of the old style Flamers, so it's kind of neat to see those. In the center we have 20 Demonettes. Now I'm not sure if that is an Exalted Hero, I just do not remember, and I don't have the army list. I'm just doing this from memory. But either way, it could have been, I don't remember. And then we have 10 Pink Horrors. And then here in the center we have a Keeper of Secrets, 20 more Demonettes, and I definitely know that is an Exalted Hero of Slaanesh, Burning Chariot, and then finally on the far right flank in the trees will be 3 of the newer style Flamers. So starting on my right flank we have 5 Doomfire Warlocks, and attached is a level 2 Sorceress of Heavens. In the center we have my 2 major blocks, the 28 Winches. Inside the unit will be the Cauldron of Blood obviously, and you don't see her really, but I have my level 4 in there. And then we have a unit of Executioners, 34 strong with my BSB. I do have to keep in mind that if my Sorceress is in there, and I do remember it through all this game, that there's a chance she can get wounded by those Witches. Finally over here on the left flank we have 2 units of Dark Riders. I'm going to Vanguard both of these units up, so if I get first turn I can take some free shots. And then I'm going to take my Doomfire Warlocks away from the right flank because there's Flamers over there, and they could probably kill my Doomfire Warlocks. So after that, we roll to see who gets first turn, and Dark Elves do. Alright, so we go into my turn, and what's my game plan? Well, I have a very compact army, so there's not a lot I'm going to be able to do. My game plan simply be very aggressive with the Witches, hold back a little with the Executioners because I don't think they match up very well against anything on the board, and just use them as a response and a deterrent to going into the Witches' flank. I also move the Warlocks behind because I think they're in a bad situation. The Slaanesh units they don't get ward saves against, and if I fail just 1 ward save against those Tzeentch shooting units, I could end up taking D3 wounds. So I think it's not a very good matchup for them to go just run around the board like they usually do. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative with them. Other than that, on the left side you can see here I stay still, and I'm going to take some pot shots when I can. I'm not going to try to play it off. When I found out my opponent didn't have a level 4, I felt like I was definitely going to rule the magic phase in this game. The first thing I do is throw up Throne of Vines, and then of course I promptly throw an Irresistible Force spell with my level 2. So I roll a 5, I think, so it only does a wound to her, and I kill off 1 Warlock. So that's pretty lucky. We go into my shooting phase, and these Dark Riders take all their shots at these Screamers. I end up only doing 1 wound. I know at the time I was very disappointed, but you know, that's probably lucky I got 1 wound. So we go into the Demons of Chaos turn 1. That black dice there in the middle is where the Comet is going to be. I think that's a really good spot. He's not going to be able to move out of the threat range going backwards, and if he wants to move forward, he's still going to be in the threat range. So I put it in a really juicy spot, so I'm glad I got it off with Irresistible Force. And here's a picture of the board after his movement phase going into his magic phase. And sure enough, that Comet comes down. He tried to give it a wide berth. He moved his units back a little bit. The units that were kind of on the peripheral of where the Comet would land, you know, try to move forward as much as they could. And sure enough, I roll an 11 and hit everything in that kind of bowl. I hit everything from the Keeper of Secrets to anything that was on the hill, and I do a lot of damage. The Keeper of Secrets ends up taking 3 wounds. The Flamers get wiped out that were on the hill, and then both of those units I think take 4 to 6 wounds. I forget which one does which, but they do take some hefty wounds there. So pretty amazing stuff for myself. I mean, that's great, but unfortunate for my opponent. He takes a bunch of wounds. The Demon's first magic phase has quite a few dice. He's going to try to cast Miasma off on my Executioners. Like I've said before, in this particular game, I'm not looking to be too aggressive with him, so I feel like he can afford to let this go through. He is then going to cast a couple other spells. I think they might have been both beneficial for him, but also an attempt to bleed me of dice. But I do save them to stop summon demons. In the shooting phase, his Chariot takes a wound because he rolls a misfire. And I think his last unit of Flamers does a couple wounds to the Witches. So Dark Elf turn 2 is encapsulated with just 1 picture because the army is, again, compact. So that's the nice way of saying it, probably. I'm bringing all my Dark Riders around the corner here to take some shots of opportunity at that Keeper of Secrets. Hopefully I can do a couple wounds there. And they're also in a pretty good position to flee from some charges which will bog down the left side of his army. In the magic phase, I'm looking to just get 1 life spell off so I can regrow that wound on my level 2. He stops Slush of Stone, but regrowth goes off. I get my witches back and I get that wound back. So again, here's that picture. I do take those shots and I do 2 more wounds to the Keeper of Secrets. So here we have 1 wound left on the Keeper of Secrets, and I definitely know I can take that on. So things are looking pretty good for my army. And we'll go into Demons turn 2. The Demons start off their turn by charging my Dark Riders. The first unit flees through all these units here, and everybody that needs to pass their break texts. But when he redirects into the other unit and I try to flee, I roll really, really low, as you can see in this picture. That's bad news because the Seekers are really fast and they're going to be able to catch them, and that's exactly what they do. And as a result of that, they wipe out the unit, and then my Warlocks break. So unfortunately, all my flexible units, the fast cav, are now fleeing or destroyed, and I'm going to have to make things work with just the blocks. So we're going to go into Demon's turn 2 magic, and I'm going to have to pull out all the stops to stop his magic phase. He's going to use a couple of his dice to dispel Throne of Vines. I'm going to get rid of my Dispel Scroll, and then I'm going to throw all my dice to stop Cacophonic Choir. That leaves him with only 1 other spell, and when you combine Blue Fire with the what is it called, the Chariot, and these Flamers that you're going to see here in the next picture, you're going to see that I'm going to lose quite a few Witches, and I do fail a lot of my toughness tests. I don't get regen this whole game. Darn Elves. And then I'm going to lose this most of my Dark Riders except for 1. Afterwards, this is what my unit's going to look like after all the carnage, and that's pretty much going to sum up the shooting magic phase. Alright, so we go into Dark Elf turn 3 and we finally get in some major combats here. My Executioners charge the Seekers, and my Witches get into combat with that first block of Demonettes. I'm going to be able to rally my Doomfire Warlocks, but that other one Dark Rider is going to continue to flee. Hopefully I can heal it up and be able to rally them afterwards. So in this magic phase, I want to really tilt that combat with the witches into my favor. I cannot win a game of attrition in this game since he can summon more units, and I'm not going to be guaranteed to stop him forever. So I'm going to cast 2 spells, one on the Demonettes and one on my witches to swing the combat pretty much in my favor, and then we're going to jump into combat. And as you can already see in this picture, the Executioners easily wipe out the Seekers. It was close though. I almost didn't do enough wounds, and I was able to wipe them out and reform. I then move over to the Witches, and we get into a challenge with my Witch Champion versus his Exalted Hero. And in an event you probably don't see very much unless you're an Ogre player, a champion defeats a character. So I'm going to get that rare underdog 50-point bonus for doing such a feat. Otherwise, the combat does go in my favor after that too, because again, it's really hard to wound me, even though I'm not wearing any armor. And he's down to just 2 Demonettes. So Demons, turn 3, we have the Keeper of Secrets. He only has 1 wound left, and he's going into a pretty bad matchup. You know, what the heck, just send him in there. Hopefully he'll do some damage before he falls. And then he's going to fly these Screamers over my Executioner unit, do a couple wounds here and there, and this is what the rest of his movement looks like on the left. I think in turn 3's magic phase for the Demons, it goes really in my opponent's favor. I think I play into his hands. He's casting a couple spells that will bring the combat between the Witches, the Demonettes, and the Keeper of Secrets back to some sort of equilibrium where it's fair. And I'm more concerned about summon demons when maybe I shouldn't be. I'm probably a little overly scared, and I think my opponent uses that to great effect. He misfires again with his Chariot, which is unfortunate. And then these Flamers take aim at that last Dark Rider. I forget to take the model off, but he's looking to kill him, so I can't regrow some more models back and rally with him and give him some pain. So that's pretty much that, and we go straight into combat. So I'm betting on black. I'm pushing my luck here. I'm thinking, you know, my champion just killed off an Exalted Hero who had 2 wounds. Maybe she can do it once more and kill off this Keeper of Secrets. You know, just do the dream and become a death hag that way. But not to be. She gets her butt kicked pretty easily. I was asking too much. I needed 5, so I wasn't going to get any rerolls. So and I didn't roll a 6, which is what I was banking on. So she gets killed. The rest of the combat does go my way, though. I do kill the last 2 Demonettes, but unfortunately, since the Slaanesh is Ascendant, I just am not going to be able to do anything to Slaanesh unless I do it the old-fashioned way, which is kill him. In Dark Elf turn 4, I send my Doomfire Warlocks into the flank of that Burning Chariot, and then I push my Executioners forward to keep those Demonettes from hitting my Witches in the flank. I just want to kill off the Keeper of Secrets as quickly as possible, so I'm going to use all my magic to help that out. I regrow some Witches, I give them extra attack from Fury of Cain, I even try to get off the stone, but my opponent does stop that. We go into that combat, and I still am not able to kill that Keeper of Secrets. I mean, I thought it was going to be really easy. I am wounding him, but he is just making... I'm not wounding him too much, and then the wounds I do, he makes that, that 5+ ward save. So we go into the other combat with the Doomfire Warlocks. I'm in the flank of the Burning Chariot. I do only 1 wound to it. It's already taken 2 more, but with the flank, the charge, and the 1 wound, I'm able to beat it through combat res, and since it's not Ascendant, it fades away. Well, with the move of my Executioners up to get in a better range for those Demonettes, it actually just backfires on me. I just make it pretty easy for him to charge me with both the Chariot and the Demonettes, and so this is a very bad spot for them to be in. Over on the right side, we have the Screamers run through the Doomfire Warlocks, and it looks here that Tzeentch steals away these souls from Slaanesh. So I love these things. I love playing with them, and it was great to see another player use them, and they work out really well. My opponent tries to put Miasma off on the Executioners. That's already a bad matchup. I don't need it to be a total rout, so I use most of my dice to try to stop that. He goes for the Withering. I have some token dice. I throw it. I don't stop it. But since he cast that spell at a unit that was within 6 inches of my Ring of Hotek, he rolls double 1s and miscasts. So he rolls on the miscast table. I think he rolls like a 5. He kills a couple of my Witches, and sure enough, he takes his own self out before I even get the opportunity to kill him. So, and who knows, I probably wouldn't have killed him for another round. In the shooting phase, the Flamers finish off my level 2. That was on the Dark Steed in the middle of nowhere. And then we go into this combat. Things look like this. We get into a challenge. I'm pretty sure this was just a champion. I easily kill it, so that's why I think it must have been, or I don't know, but whatever. And then so we go to the rest of the combat, and it looks like this. So surprisingly enough, I always have to double check on this picture, but I was steadfast. He did win, but since I was steadfast, I stuck. So things look great, and from there my opponent decides just to call it. So we add up the points, and this is what the final looks like. And it ends up being a Dark Elf victory. I don't know how I feel about this game. I've been thinking about it. I loved playing the game. It's always fun to play against my opponent. I'm just not satisfied with the armies that we both used. I just feel like something's not right. I feel like I brought a cheesier army than my opponent did, because I didn't have a lot of points for him to get unless he took on a full unit of my guys, and then my units are really, kind of over the top compared to what he was bringing. I mean, that being said, he almost won here easily if he would have just rolled a little bit better, because he rolled pretty poorly over there with that combat between the Executioners, the Demonettes, and the Chariot. He could have easily won there if he would have just broke them, and I wasn't steadfast by a couple wounds. But, yeah, so I don't know. It seemed like, and when the comet came down, it seemed like it was going to be an uphill battle. And, that's not a very fun game when it's kind of like an uphill battle the whole time for one person. Well, at least some people might enjoy it, I don't know. But anyways, maybe I'm thinking too much about it. It was a fun game. I really enjoyed playing the new Ascendant rules. It was nice to have them. I think you could definitely do some shenanigans with them. But if you bring kind of a balanced list or a fluffy list, that's kind of like what my opponent brought here. Not that big of a deal. Kind of gives the units a little bit more oomph. So I think that's a pretty great thing. And I love that summon demon rule. I like all the new summon rules, really. I like them as a concept. Maybe not so much when the characters kind of take those rules and take them to like the 10th level. Yeah, I really do like summon rules. So overall, a lot of fun. Really appreciate everybody liking this video, watching it. And then if you subscribe, I appreciate that also. And I'll have another one out next week. So see you guys later.